Hey there and welcome everybody. This is Craig from Google Educators Group New Zealand. Welcome Donna and John.
Hello guys.
Hi everyone.
Fantastic that you both made it tonight to represent GEG New Zealand, and John all the way from England.
You're right, Craig, yeah.
Wonderful to have you here. I'd just love us all to introduce ourselves. Donna, how about you?
Yeah, thanks, Craig. So I'm Donna Golightly. I work for Using Technology Better. Please excuse my non-UTB shirt, but I've come not long from a school in New Zealand. I'm based in Auckland, so work with schools around New Zealand, sometimes overseas when there's no COVID, and Google is definitely my passion.
Fantastic. Great to have you here, Donna. And John.
Hi, everyone. So my name's John. I am the Vice President of Education at Moat. Up until the middle of February of this year, I was a digital leader at a school in very central London. And before that, I've been lucky enough to be part of the Google Innovation Academy. I'm a Google certified trainer. And then just really, really excited to be here with you today. The morning for me, but the evening for you.
Lovely. Great to have you here. And I'm wearing my New Zealand shirt. You can see I actually got this printed and made in Jakarta, Indonesia, where I lived for 7 years. And we had a really thriving GEG, over 400 schools, I think 600 by the end of it, and over 700 educated. It was a great, thriving community where teachers shared to help other teachers. It was a wonderful feeling being part of that. And I'm looking forward to GEG New Zealand and getting to know the educators there as well. Donna, you are around schools in New Zealand a lot. You say that you're passionate about Google. Why is that?
I guess for me, because my background is teaching, so I spent over 30 years in schools in New Zealand. And for me, it's the power of collaboration. It's also the power of efficiency. So in terms of not just our students, but our teachers, how easily it can, I guess it's kind of mainstream their workflow and lessen their load as well. But the opportunities that it provides for the students to be able to just show us what they know. I just love that. Love the students being able to be creative, being able to show us what they know, and for it all to be in a simple, easy place to find.
Wonderful. And John, are you a Googly person as well?
I am very much so, yeah. And I think, so I was actually thinking then as Donna was talking, so I started getting into Google probably 2014 or so, when I had the classic scenario at my old school where I was trying to get onto a spreadsheet and it was locked for editing and I had to create my own copy, and I thought that there had to be a better way. And it turns out that there was. So that's when I started using what was then, I think, Google for Education, but it's kind of various iterations since. And here we are in 21.
Yeah, fantastic. It's wonderful the way that technology has enabled educators to collaborate and communicate together anywhere, anytime. It's wonderful. We've actually got Steve from Google New Zealand made a short video clip just to say hi for us tonight, because he was traveling. He was gutted, as we say in New Zealand. He was gutted that he couldn't join us tonight live, but he made a short video. So I'm just going to grab that video from Steve and play that for us just now.
Kia ora GEG whānau, it's great to be here, even though it's by video link. I'm really sorry I couldn't join today, and I'm really stoked that we have an event happening in New Zealand. So my name's Steve. I'm the Google for Education lead for New Zealand, for those of you who haven't met me. I live up in our Auckland office. I don't live there, but I work in our Auckland office, and my role is to support schools and all our cool Google certified innovators, trainers and teachers to help them use our tools even better than they are currently. So really sorry I can't be there, and I'd love to connect with as many of you as possible and be at one of these events in person real soon. Currently in Wellington, visiting a whole pile of our schools down here, and so really sorry I can't be there. If you need to get in touch with me, my email is nzsteve@google.com. I'm based up in Auckland, but I'm travelling around both our Motu, seeing lots of our cool schools. So well done to the team who put this together. I hope you have an excellent event, and I'll catch up with you all real soon.
Awesome. Thanks for being with us, Steve. Hey, so that was nzsteve@google.com. So make sure that you reach out to him. And of course, Using Technology Better, which is Donna is a part of. And John, I understand that you are getting something very important happening to you today.
Yeah, I'm having my first COVID vaccination. So fingers crossed for that.
Woohoo! That's great. And you need to leave us a little bit early this evening. So I think, Donna, if it's okay with you, we'll let Steve go ahead and show us the world of Moat.
Great
Fantastic.
idea. Looking forward to it.
Okay, let's go. John, I'm just going to make sure I add your screen.
Great. Okay. I can see that we're live now, so I'll just kick off. Just in case you haven't heard of Moat before, we're a startup, so we launched in March of 2020 as a tool to use the power of voice to really to improve the feedback process. Since then, we've been really delighted to hear about the many hours that leaving feedback with voice has saved teachers to help improve work-life balance. And since then, we've actually done our best to listen to teacher feedback, and we've introduced some use cases outside of feedback. So I'm going to be highlighting one or two of those today, but we're always looking at how, as I say, how we can improve work-life balance, but also with a look at and also using voice to develop relationships. So I'm in a Google Classroom assignment here, which I'm sure is super familiar to all of you. I've got Mote installed. You can see at the top right of my browser. I am going to whistle through this because I've been given about a 3-minute limit. So we'll see how I do. To leave your first Mote, you open up a comment as you would normally. Now, you get the same pop-up, but you also, at the right-hand side, you get this Mote icon. And the second that I click here, it's live. Hi, Dwight, you've made a great start to this assignment. If you need any help before the next lesson, please just give me a shout. Tapping that again and pressing comment, this is now ready to go. Anyone with the extension installed then gets a clickable card that sits within that comment. That means that they can listen to the audio directly from within the file itself. They haven't got to open up another tab. If, however, someone doesn't have Mote installed, no problem. They can still access the voice note. It will just open it up in its own landing page. So that is Mote in its most basic version. What I'm going to do now is showcase to you some of our features that we offer as part of the Unlimited package. So I'm going to toggle on voice transcription. I'm going to choose the language as English UK. Choose the one that best suits your own accent. So I'm sure that many of our listeners and viewers today will be very pleased to see the 5th one down on the list here. But for now, I'm going to stick with the UK. But you might be interested to know if you have any colleagues or students that would like to transcribe any language other than English, that we have lots of those available. So, for example, you might have a colleague teaching Spanish. They just want to click here. I'm going to leave it now on my English UK and jump back in. I'm going to leave a private comment this time. Please, could you make sure that you listen to all of the feedback? Thank you. I had transcription turned on. So to review my transcript, I click on the pencil and you'll see that it's given me the transcription here, and I could then post that back to the student. But what I'm going to do, because this is the sort of feedback that I might want to use for another student, I'm going to save it to my Notebook, and I'm just going to call it NZ Demo. Notebook works a lot like Google Classroom's comment bank in that you can reuse comments in different places. The benefit of Notebook is it doesn't just have to be within Google Classroom. I can use it across anywhere, in fact, that I would be able to leave a Mote. So I'm going to exit this and post it. And next, I'll just jump into the second tab and show you how easy it is to use something from my Notebook. I long click on the icon, get this pop up, click on the one that I'm interested in. This is much quicker than I would normally demonstrate, by the way. And there we have. So I've reused this for another student. They get the same note with my voice, so it's still helping to work on that personal connection. I'm going to share with you something called STEM mode, which I think is super exciting. What it does is it basically listens to what we are saying to the voice notes. And as part of the transcription, it will pick up any equations and do something really cool. So here we go. Same process as before. You've made a really good start to this assignment. Please could you take one more look at the last question, 8x squared plus 7 equals 0. I've got my box here. I'm going to click on the transcription, and you'll notice now that I get this really cool box, like a grayed out box. And when I click on it, I get Mote's own scientific notation editor. And you probably heard that I made a deliberate mistake there. Shows how easy it is for me to make a change that is automatically reflected in the comment. I can exit, post this back to the student, and just as before, they've now got my voice note with a transcription below. How are we doing for time, Craig?
We're good.
Okay. Can I do another couple of? I'll just showcase another couple of things.
Loving it. Go for it.
Okay, so jumping into Google Slides. So this was launched at the beginning of 2021, and I was really excited about this because I'm a huge fan of Google Slides, but the process of bringing an audio onto a slide deck was really hard. You had to record it somewhere, download it, upload it to Drive, and then find it in your slide deck. With this Moat button that sits above the slide deck, we do all of that for you. So let me demonstrate. I've got this window that I can move around. So great if students are submitting an e-portfolio or want to do like a read along or something like that. Please, could you let me know if you think this photo was taken before or after March of 2020? And I can play back when it refreshes, or I can delete it. I'm just going to go ahead and tap on Insert. And then what's really nice that I get this little speaker that I can move around. We're realizing that teachers are really enjoying a couple of features here. If you put the transparency to 100%, it becomes a clickable hotspot. And what's great about when you put a audio onto a slide deck is it's accessible to anyone, regardless of if they have the extension installed or not. So it works just the same. And we've seen, for example, schools have used it in community-wide newsletters. And you can also go up and you can replace the image with anything that you would like. So you can go here, and then you could, for example, search images in your Drive, or you could just search the net. Finally, what I'll showcase to you is Mote for Google Forms. This was launched last week. And as it says on the tin, Mote allows you to insert audio directly into a Google form. So the teacher has set one up for me. So I can go here, I can listen to what the teacher has written, but as a student, I can also record my own feedback. I've learned lots today, and I'm really excited to hear what other people are going to share. And this is just going to be lots. I can then turn it in just as I would any other Google form by pressing on Submit. And then what's really nice as a sort of kicker is if you've ever used Mote within Google Sheets before, what used to happen is you would click on the Mote and it would open up in a new tab. What we've done now is we allow you to get this. If you hover your mouse or click on a URL for a Mote, you have a clickable card that pops up. So I can now listen to all of my responses from within the Google Sheet. And that was it. I think I was definitely over the 3 minutes there. I was probably about 23 minutes, but I hope that was okay.
That's great. That was so easy. Wow. Donna, you've been using Mote for a while?
I have. And John, I love what you said about your responsiveness to teachers. We had a conversation with Eleni not even a month ago, I don't think. And we said, hey, look, what's the possibility of in those transcription languages adding te reo? And it's there. Like, that's really awesome that we just kind of asked and your team worked on it. So I think that ability to be able to support what teachers are doing and give them that ability to say, hey, this would be really useful, and for them to know that you guys are really taking on board, I just think that's so powerful.
And we absolutely do. And we've actually got, I don't know if I have access to the chat here, but there is a link. So which I can find and I can share with you. So we actually have a link whereby we really, really encourage, as you say, Donna, teachers to share with us their kind of biggest feature requests. And then we have a sort of like a upvoting system. And we find that's a really, really successful way of communicating teacher needs with our team of engineers who work around the clock to try to make things happen as quickly as possible for everyone.
John, if you paste or type in the link into the chat there, then
sure.
I'll make sure it appears on your YouTube channel, and then I'll flash it on the screen here as well. I'm just going to put up the link from Donna as well to get Mote. So everyone, you can see it on the screen there, justmote.me/UTB. And I believe that's a special offer as well for getting Mote.
I should say that with the link that Donna shared, we're really excited to offer anyone that clicks on that link as a first-time user would get a 3-month free trial of all things Mote Unlimited.
That's awesome. I'm just going to post into the chat. So you'll see it all in YouTube pretty soon. I'll put it on the screen as well. This is the one that John just shared with us in the chat.
Absolutely.
So if people want to ask and request certain features and upvote them and downvote them, this is the one to use?
That's the place to be. And you'll see there's some really exciting things that people have shared. But that's also where we had, so Moat for Forms was super popular. We've got some other really interesting requests coming through. Everything from creating soundboards to having, actually, we are looking at a iOS app, and that was a very heavily requested feature launch as well, or product launch, I should say.
Fantastic. Now, as you'll see on the screen, this is our university channel on YouTube, and I have 67 educators from Nepal and Philippines and Indonesia. Every Saturday we get together for our Masters in Education, and we use Google Classroom for the submission of assignments and marking. And in the most recent assignments, for 30 odd of them, for their major assignment, I went through and I gave voice feedback with Mote, and that was just
fantastic, Craig.
This weekend. And I tell you what, it was fast.
Good.
It was
really
we've
we've heard sort of anything from it being like 2 to 3.5 times faster, but we've got lots and lots of feedback to just say that not only is it fast, but it actually improves the quality of feedback, because it isn't nothing gets lost in like a misplaced comma or a full stop. Like when you can hear the voice of your teacher, and also when you can hear the voice of your student, that it really adds to that to the learning experience for everyone.
It does, and that's the benefit of the flipped classroom model, is you get to hear from your teacher, and you have that relationship with them. And I know that for my students, particularly they're from Nepal and other countries, hearing my voice, they know my voice, they know my intonations, and nothing's lost as it can be in the text. Donna, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, John, one of the things I was actually showing Moot to some teachers today, and one of the things that was just blowing their mind was when I showed them that they can actually see which students have listened to their feedback. And for them, that was a really powerful suggestion, because it meant that those students who might sort of come up and go, what do I do again? Or what was it you asked me to do? The ability to go, well, I know you haven't listened to my feedback, so how about you go and conform it? To it first, just to develop and encourage that student agency. They found that really powerful as well. So yeah, super tool.
Thank you, Donna.
Wonderful. Well, look, I just encourage everybody to check out Moat. Make sure you grab the Chrome extension. Does it work in other browsers as well, John?
It does. It doesn't currently. We are looking for alternative platforms in which we can get Moat working. As I say, one of our major projects at the moment is to work on a much smoother experience for anyone that's accessing on an iOS device. Watch this space.
Awesome. I really want to thank you for being here.
Pleasure.
With us this evening. No, you need to go. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you ever so much for having me.
Lovely. And of course, this has been broadcast on LinkedIn and on Facebook and also on YouTube. So it is being recorded while we're doing this. And John, if you have any other special offers or ideas and things you want to share, of course, just jump in on YouTube and drop it in the comments. That'd be wonderful.
Of course I will. Donna, Craig, everyone else, it was a pleasure to be with you this morning for me. And as I say, this evening for you. I hope the rest of the show goes super well.
Thank you, John. A happy vaccination day.
Yeah, thank you so much. Bye for now.
Bye. See ya. Donna, I'm just going to put in the chat for everybody on YouTube as well the link to the Facebook group for GEGNZ, which is what you mentioned before. So I'll just show that on the screen as well for people to join. Our group is becoming increasingly active as Google educators in New Zealand, and it's great having teachers share with teachers. So Donna, how about you take it away? What are you going to be sharing with us tonight?
Well, it was funny, actually, Craig, when you first said, would you like to share something? It was actually Moot that jumped into my mind. And then I said, oh, John's sharing it. So no, I'll have to think of something else. There's so much that we can share. But actually what I was thinking is that often there are some things inside the native Google Workspace tools that we don't really utilize. So the first thing I want to share is naming versions in Google Docs. I thought that might be a good place to start. So I'll jump in and we'll have a little look at that. Okay.
All righty, I'm just going to add you to the stream. There we go.
Awesome. So I've pre-prepared here a Google Doc that you could do this in anything. So for me in my classroom, when I was teaching, I had year sixes before I joined UTB. One of the things that often would happen is my students would do some writing, or this could be a science notation, whatever you're doing. And you would work with your students and you would conference with them and you would give them feedback, and they would go away and hopefully do it. They would come back, and then you've got to sift through to go, have they made those changes? Did they do what I asked them to do? And it could be quite time consuming, until I realized that we could name the version. So then what I started doing with my students was they would come to me and they would say, I'm finished. So what we would do is come up here to File, and in version history, you can name your current version. So I would get my students to name it draft 1, but you can, teachers can come up with whatever system works for them. But if I name this draft 1 and then just click save, then my students would conference and they would go away and they would come back. They'd make some changes. They would come back. And before we went through it, I said, okay, cool. Can you name that version for me? So they'd do the same process, come back in, name current version, and this time they'd name it draft 2. I haven't made any changes, so I'm not going to rename it. And then for me as a teacher, then all I have to do is come to my version history, and I could come here to File and go that way, but we're all about efficiency. So we'll just click up here, takes us to our version history. And over on the right-hand side, under your version history, you've got this option to only show your named versions. So if I toggle that on, then I only see the version histories. And when I click on these version histories, the only thing I have to look for is whatever's in green, because that's the change that happened since the last version. And so all of a sudden, it made my life so much easier. So if I came back into here, now this has not got a capital letter, so I'm going to go in and put a capital letter. This should have a space. This should have a small n. So it could just be editing, it could be proofreading, but now I have made some changes. I'll come back in, name it draft 2. Come back and save it. I can jump back into here, toggle this back on. So we know when we're in version history, this little triangle tells us that there are more changes. Toggle on named version. Here's draft 2 is my current one. Here's draft 1. Click on draft 2. The only changes I've made are in green. So straight away I can look through and go, there was a change, there was the change. That's a link. Easy peasy. They've done what I've asked, or they haven't. So that's my first tip, naming your version histories and then being able to go back in and quickly see what's been done on a doc. Craig, do you have any comments or questions about using version histories? Is it something that you've seen teachers doing? Can you think of some places where that might be really handy?
Yeah, I haven't seen it used as organized as that. I've used it to go back and see who deleted someone else's work, like that, as sort of a detective role. But I haven't seen it using the naming of the versions. That's really clever. It's really smart.
Yeah, I think for me in the classroom, that's what I used to do, was use it for that. Okay, who deleted the work, who changed the background, who added the table, all those sorts of things that students would do. But when it comes to being able to be efficient from the teacher's point of view, but also from the student's point of view, because if they name versions as well. So you can see when I was having a little play on this, it could be that when I come to my version history and I turn them on, I only want to read about the coding. So I'm going to come down here and click on coding. And now all I have to focus on is coding. I don't have all the other text that was in that document, but it's still sitting there for other people. So it can be used that way as well. And of course, I can restore that version. And then I've only got the coding information, but I haven't deleted it for everyone else, because they can go back into that version history and they can pull up the version that they want to read. So it's actually another way of being able to use the same document. One of the things that's really handy for teachers to name versions is meeting minutes, because how many times do we see teachers who have one beautiful doc with all of their meeting minutes, and it's really, really hard to jump back to the week that you want. So if you name each week in your version history, then you can super quickly find the particular things that you want to look for.
Yeah, that's really clever.
So that's naming version. That was going to be my first little tip. Have a little play with that. Have a little play around. Just remember it's file, version history, and you can name the current version is the easiest way to get there. Would you like me to go into another tip, Craig, or would you like to throw one in and should we do a bit of a tennis ball match?
Oh, please go ahead. This is great. I'm making notes.
Okay. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, and it was kind of off the back of what John was sharing about Moot, I think one of the powerful things about our students being able to share their work back with us is being able to hear their voice and for them to explain their thinking to us. So for me, that's one of the beautiful things about Moot is that they can talk to me and I can hear their voice, hear those intonations as well, which is really important. But sometimes they want to see what they're talking about as well. So this is another Chrome extension, but this one is called Record to Slides. And what it does is it's like Moot. So you can see I've got my Moot installed here. And Record to Slides also installs straight into your slide. And so what this allows me to do is it allows me to put a video straight into my slide, again, without having to store it in my drive first and then upload it into my slide deck. So to start the journey, I would open a new doc here, a new slide here, and you just simply click on it and it opens up a screen recording. Now, if I slide down here, I've got the option to turn my sound on or off. So it could just be that I want to make a bit of a GIF type thing. I don't want to have my voice. I just want to show it. I can turn my voice off. This little button here allows me to record my screen. So I can record like anything, my entire screen, my window, or just my Chrome tab. So I click share. And now I can record any of my screen and I click the button to record. Now it probably won't record because StreamYard's probably using my microphone, but I can jump out to my maths. So this was my maths activity we did. We were using the Math Learning Centre apps, which are amazing, using the pattern shapes. We were creating a Huntawasa village because we'd been talking about Huntawasa in our inquiry. And each of our shapes had a numerical value. And so we had to create a Huntawasa buildings. And then we had to work out the maths value of our entire village. So because I had used 2 of these, I know that they're 7 points each, so 2 times 7. So it's getting my students to do a bit of creativity, but to put some mathematics on it as well. But I want to see their work and I want to hear the way that they worked out the mathematics, because for me, that strategy is really important. So they're recording this, they're showing me their work, and they're telling me how they worked out their maths. And this is all being recorded. And then I just come back into my slide and I stop it. And you can see here it is here loading. I click OK. And depending on how long they've been recording for and how big the video is, as to how long it will take to just drop into their slide. But it will, after a few minutes, drop into their slide. There we are. And it's a video, so I can move it around. It's already rendered once it's in here. I can click on the format options and do all of those video playback things that we can, oops, it's still formatting, that we can do in terms of stopping and starting. And it's all on one slide. So I've put a screenshot of my finished pattern Huntawasa buildings. I've also put a screenshot of my maths. So for me as the teacher, I've now got all of that wonderful thinking of my students in one slide that I can easily go back to at any point in time, and I can see their work and hear them tell me how they worked it out. So that was my other little share, it's called Record to Slides. It's just in the Chrome Web Store. Unlike normal Chrome extensions, normally it would sit up with your other Chrome extensions. And I've had a couple of teachers install it and then go, oh, hang on a minute, I can't see it. It's because it will sit in your slide. just like the Moot button, it will sit on your slides. So when you open a Google slide, you'll see it sitting there. So yeah, that's record to slides. Get your students to tell you what they're doing, show you what they're doing. And if you've pushed that slide out through Google Classroom, you only have to go to one place to hear all their work. So that's my share on that one. How's that, John?
Awesome.
Right, stop sharing my screen. Here we go.
Fantastic. Thank you, Donna. And if people want to get hold of you, after we're finished, what's the best way to do that for training or advice or guidance?
You can just email me, donna@usingtechnologybetter.com, or I am on Twitter @DonnaGolightly1, or on Facebook or the Teachers Facebook group, whatever's your way of connecting, whatever way people find the most comfortable, just reach out to me.
Wonderful. Thank you, Donna. I'm going to share something that I shared with students at Panama Road School and the teachers this week on Monday at the assembly. I'm the development director there, and I got to share it for about 3 minutes, and I heard some really encouraging feedback today that the kids were choosing to actually do Monster Mash, which is about animation. And if anyone's tried to do animation with kids, your hair probably looks like mine. It's a bit pulled out because it can be a bit tricky. And I did my PhD in the creative technologies area, and it's so high tech. So I'm going to show you how to do animation in the class with Monster Mash. So super simple, okay? Now you just have to forgive my drawing. So here we go. I'm going to put actually in the chat right now so I don't forget the link to Monster Mash. So it's in the chat right now. Put it up on the screen.
I'm looking forward to this, Craig, because I've seen it, but I haven't had to play with it. So
now I'm going to keep my objects to very, very basic ones. So, please be gracious, Donna, with my shapes that I use for the Monster Mash. The kids were very generous as well, and they just laughed when they saw my shapes that I drew. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now and share with you Monster Mash. So I've got the link in the chat if you'd love to have a go with it while you're watching this as well. So here I go. I'm going to share my screen. And Donna, if you can just leave your microphone on, let me know. Can you see Monster Mash on your screen?
yes.
Fantastic. Okay, here we go. So as you can see, it's laid out very, very simply. And this is one of Google's experiments. You know that people that work at Google, the engineers and the team, they get a certain number of hours a week to be able to experiment and try things out. And Google releases them when they think that they're going to be interesting to a particular audience. And I think this is pretty interesting. So I hope that educators and more particularly students have a go with using Monster Mash. So monstermash.zone. 3 simple steps: draw, inflate, and animate. So draw, inflate, and animate. So I'm going to draw now using my mouse, and I'm going to draw a humanoid object of some description. Let's say it's the Marshmallow Man from Shrek, who's been sitting in the sun for a little while. So I've drawn him. And now normally in animation, when you try to make something 3D, it takes a lot of effort and lighting and everything, texturings. But all we have to do after we've done draw is inflate, number 2 at the top of the screen. And through the magic of Google, we've suddenly got our Marshmallow Man has been inflated. It's now 3D, got a bit of shadow and lighting, and can move around in 3D space. Now that's clever just in and of itself. The final stage, though, is I want to animate one of Marshmallow person's arms. So I'm going to click animate. Notice it's turned the body around, so I'm seeing the body face on. So remember, this is only one shape, but you could have multiple different shapes, and we'll add one soon. So I'm going to choose to animate just this arm here. Donna, can you see me waving the arm, waving at you?
Yes, we can.
Alrighty. Awesome. So now what we want to do is when we choose a place on the body or the plant or the dog or the planet where we want to animate it, we need to record the animation. So up on the top on the screen here on the right-hand side, you can see play, pause, and record. So I'm going to record the animation. So I'm going to push record. I'm going to grab that animation space and move it around. And as simple as that, hey presto, it's animating. Now I'm going to record. I'm going to grab this, maybe use this foot here. I'm going to pause it. I'm going to grab the record button, and I'm going to draw the movement that I want it to go in. So now I'm pushing play. Notice the little footsies animating away and the hand is animating at the same time. Now, some of the examples that you can see inside Monster Mash are dinosaurs, plants, dogs, some sort of reptiles, other animals, and they can be animated as well. And you can animate different parts of the body. So if I pause this, maybe the marshmallow person is having a tough time breathing. So I'm just going to grab the chest and record, and I'm going to wobble the chest around a little bit and stretch the chest because they're having a hard time breathing. I'm going to push play, and you'll notice that the chest is moving in and moving out as well. Now, I know you're amazed at my drawing skills, and Donna, I know that you're thinking this is pretty fantastic, my ability to draw the marshmallow person, but I'm going to blank the screen and I'm going to draw, let's say this is the sun. Donna, that looks like the sun, doesn't it?
It does.
Thank
looks
you.
Looks like the sun was in Wellington yesterday.
Yes.
Maybe.
I'm going to draw maybe a planet that's got a ring around it, or it could be a flattened duck. Let's just go with planet. I'm going to push inflate. Now I've got, maybe it's an asteroid, and there are some planets or other objects or smaller asteroids that are orbiting around this because the gravity is much higher. So now I've got my shapes. I'm going to click animate, and I'm going to choose this rock, the second rock from the sun or asteroid. I'm going to drag the path or the orbit, and it's going to follow that around. And then I'm going to choose this one, and I'm going to push record, and I'm going to draw the orbiting path around the asteroid as well, and leave the play on. And notice that now the object. So imagine as a teacher, you're doing the solar system, and you had a bit more time, Donna, than we do.
Yeah.
They could spend some time, right? They could use a tablet, maybe with a touch screen, and draw it with their finger or a stylus. You know, they could spend some time drawing the planets a bit better, showing the orbits, how close they come together, trying to get it as realistic as possible. And we can pause this, and maybe the asteroid or whatever this is, it's moving as these objects are orbiting around it because of the influence of the gravity of these different objects. So that's all that I wanted to share, but it really captured the attention of students at Panama Road School. They really enjoyed it. I heard back today that they were choosing to do this instead of some other things when they had their free time. I thought that's pretty cool. What do you think?
That is pretty cool. And I love the way that you can have one thing in relation to another. So that kind of thinking is a really awesome extension as well, like starting with one creature and animating different bits, and then having separate things and what's the interaction between them. Like, yeah, I could definitely see being able to spend a lot of time playing around with it. Yeah, it's awesome.
We often think when it's Google tools, we think it's going to be Google Slides or Google Sheets or using Docs or email. But if we just search for Google Experiments, and we'll put some links. I will do this after the video, and Donna, you can do this too if you'd like to, underneath the video on YouTube. Some links to other ideas that we know are Google, but maybe people don't know they've been developed by Google, and Monster Mash is certainly one of those. And I would like to say hi to Quade from Panama Road School there in Auckland, who's joined us and watching as well. And also we have Darwin Bowen, who's from Otanga School in Rotorua. So welcome. Great to see you. Dropped your names in the chats as well. Donna, would you like to put a link to anything in the chat just before we wrap up, and I can drop it on the YouTube chat?
Well, talking about Google Experiments, Craig, one that blows teachers away when they don't know about it is the auto drawer. Google's auto drawer experiment, and it's literally, I think it's just autodraw.com, and it's fantastic for the New Zealand digital technology curriculum because we spend time telling students that computers can't think for themselves, and then you show them auto drawer, and what auto draw does is you draw something, and your computer suggests a whole lot of ideas of what it thinks you're trying to draw. And when you click on it, it turns your drawing into what you clicked on. And so it's a great conversation to have with students around, well, how is the computer thinking about what you're trying to draw. And actually what they've done is they've connected it to another Google experiment, which is called Quick Draw. I don't know if you've seen that. It's a game where it throws up something, you've got 20 seconds to draw it. And it stores all the data, all the algorithms of everything that everyone's ever tried to draw in that game. And it connects that data to auto draw. And that's what it's pulling on when it's looking at what you're drawing. So it's an awesome combination to talk about when we're trying to integrate that digital technology curriculum and show our students how it works in reality. So I love those two, auto draw and quick draw, are great ones to experiment.
Is
Another
this
one, yeah, that's the one. So you click on launch experiment and it launches you into auto draw. And what I love about it, it's kind of like Google Drawings in that you can extend your drawing as you're going. So you can change the size of the paper. But the little button, the one that's the pencil that's got the little stars on it, that's magic. So if you draw something, maybe you're a marshmallow man, and then if you watch up the top where it says auto draw, you've got a grey bar. Up there, it's got a whole lot of suggestions of what it thinks you're trying to draw. And there's always more. You can scroll along to the left and there's always more suggestions. And so you can see it changes what you drew into what you clicked on. And then the students can fill it in with colour. They can add text onto it. They can use just the normal drawing tool to add onto it if they want to. And it downloads as a JPEG or a PNG, I think. So super simple. To create your own digital outcome without having to rely on Googling, a Google search image kind of thing.
That's
and all
brilliant.
those suggestions, that it's throwing up the top, all come from that quick draw game.
Brilliant.
So yeah, I love that one. So that's another one that teachers might want to have a little experiment and play with.
I saw a question from Quade in the chat about how do you use this, embedding it in a blog or something. You can copy the selected animation and then you can embed it or link it and drop it into another page as well. I love that the Google tools don't stand alone. They know that the world is sharing things, and so that is an option. Awesome. Donna, is there anything else that you'd like to share before we wrap up tonight's?
Oh, look, I'm terrible, Craig. I could go on for ages. So I think it's one of those things where, sometimes you've just got to throw out little bits and go away and have a play with that, because otherwise the brain just gets too overloaded and we can't focus on anything because there's too much swirling in there. So yeah, really all I would say is really just give something new a go. Try one thing, pick up one idea, have one conversation with a colleague, hear something that someone else is doing and give that a go.
Wonderful. Well, Don, I really want to thank you for giving your time this evening to us. I know you have really busy days, but thanks so much for joining us on our GEG New Zealand IdeaFest. Really appreciate you.
And thank you for getting it up and running, Craig, because it's such a great idea. So hopefully we can see these grow as we go forward.
Absolutely. I'm sure this is going to be like a magnet to draw other educators in. Donna, thank you for your time. Wish you all the very best. And everyone, do join our GEG New Zealand Facebook group. You can see the link here right now on the screen. It's also in the chat on YouTube as well. And if you want to get hold of Donna, what's your email address one more time?
Donna@usingtechnologybetter.com.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you, everybody. And thank you to the New Zealand educators that joined us this evening. And if no one's told you today, thank you very much for everything you do as educators, and what you do does make a difference in the lives of the children that you are with every single day. And because you make an impact on the children, you make an impact on the families and the communities around you. And often people don't know, and no one knows all of the things that you do every single day and every single night and every single weekend and every single holiday, when you maybe spend a little bit longer doing some marking or a little bit longer putting some creative thought into a lesson plan, or making a phone call or a home visit to a family because there's something going on that you know about and you want to address and support them and awhi them. No one knows everything that you put into loving on the children in your class and changing families and communities. So thank you, educators in New Zealand, for what you do every single day. You make a difference and you are appreciated. Thanks. Be safe. Thanks, Donna.
Bye.